Hey everyone, it's Lynette, and this is going to be my September wrap-up. I didn't get to too many books in September because I feel like every time I have like a really great month like I did in August, and then next month I like kind of slack off. I don't know why I do that, but it happens every time. So I only got to 4 books this September, but they were all like fantastic books. Like there was only one that I was iffy about, but the other 3 were probably some of the best books that I've read all year. So without further ado, let's jump right into what I read. The first book that I completed in the month of September is Warcross by Marie Lu. Warcross is a lot like Ready Player One. It's about virtual reality, about a video game that kind of fully immerses you into the world. But it's more than just a video game, sort of like the entire world takes place on this virtual reality system. You can have money on there, you can gamble on there, different things like that. But our main character is a bounty hunter. So she tracks down people who are illegally gambling on the main game, which is called Warcross, which is sort of like a virtual capture the flag kind of game. A lot of stuff happens in this book. Like it is so action-packed, but one day our main character glitches herself into like the Super Bowl World Championship of the Warcross games, and she becomes visible to the entire world who is watching. So Emika is convinced that she's going to be arrested, and she's invited to the Warcross headquarters in Tokyo, and she finds out that she's not arrested. She's actually a very famous person now, and they want her to draft for the Warcross games. That doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the things that happen in this book. It is so good, so action-packed, so fast-paced. The second one, Wildcard, just came out a week or so ago, so I cannot wait to read Wildcard this month. But if you're looking for another book that's very similar to Ready Player One, you will love Warcross by Marie Lu. The second book I read in the month of September was actually an ARC that I received. I do believe that this book is on shelves now, so you can go and purchase it. But that book is called Vox by Christina Doucher. Vox is I wouldn't consider it teen fiction, even though I think that's what they're trying to play it off as. I think it's more of a new adults, even young adults, 20s, 30s type of book. But it's a dystopian book, a lot similar to The Handmaid's Tale. Basically, women have these, almost like a Fitbit that they wear on their wrist that track how many words a day that they say. They can only say 100 words a day. And if they go past their limit, they get a very painful shock. And the further past their limit they go, the more painful the shock on their wrist becomes. It's a very patriarchal society. Women are converted back to the old roles. They're stripped of all their jobs, even like successful CEO type women. They're forced to marry, they're forced to be housewives, they're forced to be, child bearers and things like that, while the husbands leave the house and go earn the money. There's this movement called the Pure Movement that's run by the president and this minister type guy. But basically they want to convert America back to the old ways of life, kind of like it was like in the 40s and 50s where the wife stayed at home and the husband goes out. So it's a very oppressing society for women, but it is so good. And our main character was once this PhD scientist. She studied the effects that strokes have on the brain, and she's like a language expert. So she's a very smart woman, and it's like very demeaning for this very successful and smart woman to be, downgraded to just being nothing. She stays at home and does nothing throughout the day, and she's only limited to 100 words a day. But it's a very compelling book. I think everybody should have to read this book. It should be required reading in schools. It is that good. It's very, very dark and twisted and kind of scary. It's one of the scariest books I've ever read. But it was very good, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for another book that's similar to The Handmaid's Tale. The third book I read in the month of September is probably one of the best books that I read this year. And I didn't expect to like it. I got it also as an ARC. And I didn't expect to like it. It has a lot of Japanese influence in it and Asian culture, which is fine. It's just that has never been anything that I've been particularly interested in, but now I'm particularly interested in it because of this book. And that book is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa. It was such a beautiful world. It was almost like a Japanese Lord of the Rings type book. There's this epic journey, there's a bunch of supernatural elements. It's just most beautiful world that I've ever read, and just an epic tale. So that's all I really want to say about it, because I don't want to give a thing about it away, because I don't want to spoil anything for you. But I highly recommend Shadow of the Fox, and it is out on shelves now. And the final book that I read, I actually read as a book club. I'm in a book club now. A book club book. It was our first pick, and it was a suspenseful thriller mystery type book. But that is the book Girl Last Seen by Nina Lauren. This started out really good. I feel like the story had a lot of potential. I ended up giving it 3 stars because I thought the ending got a little bit muddy, and you can read my full review about this book on my blog, which is novelsandhops.com. But it's about a missing girl, and 13 years later, she sees another missing girl who pretty much looks exactly like she did when she went missing. And she just knows deep down that this is the same man that took her 13 years ago that was never caught. So she feels automatically this connection with this missing girl, and she sort of goes on this journey to find out what happens to her and tries to make it her own personal mission to save her. It gets a lot more twisted than that, but it's a very good book. I gave it a solid 3 stars. Just the ending, just like I said, got a little convoluted, but other than that, it was a great mystery read, and definitely a big atmospheric, dark type thriller book for fall. So that is it for my September wrap up. Those 4 books, like I said, were some of the best books that I've read all year. So let me know what you read in the month of September, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.